Alrighty, so let's address the elephant in the room. Are dual blades that god-awful at mobbing? And the answer is a little bit more complicated than you think, of course, because, it's not always like yes and no, black and white, whatever. There's usually like a gray area. In this case, yes, there's definitely a gray area. Like, Night Lords and Shadowers are often regarded as superior mobbers of the other Explorer branch thief. Because of, Shadowers have Meso Explosion and Night Lords have, Assassin's Mark. And those are pretty much skills that, target mobs in the map, and they just kind of basically kill the mobs for you if you are funded enough to one-shot with those marks and mesos flying around the map, and Dual Blade does not have that. Instead, Dual Blade has like these two really long cooldown skills, well, not long cooldown skills, but they're pretty short. Of course, they are Blades of Destiny and Blade Tornado. They are pretty cracked at trading, honestly. I will say at 260, Dual Blades definitely shine at Cernium. So if you are trying to get to those really high levels like 260, 270, 275, then Dual Blades are definitely very much superior in my opinion at training, unless you are like crazy funded with your Night Lord or Shadower, because it does take a bit of funding to one-shot with those marks and mesos. Now, Sacrix has a video on his YouTube channel. Mind you, it is probably like almost 3 years old now. It's like it was uploaded in 2020, and it is currently, of course, 2022 at the time of recording this video. So it is a bit outdated, but he talks about Dual Blade in a very negative light. He's like, "Oh my god, Dual Blade is the most god-awful mobber ever. Like, it was terrible. I was suffering," or so. I don't remember. His video was just crazy to me. Like, I watched that video before I even started maining Dual Blade, so I was just like, wow, like, is Dual Blade really that bad? Like, I had really low expectations to, like, train in it, and, like, I still like the class. Like, I didn't give a fuck, I was just like, I'm gonna train this class no matter fucking what, because Dual Blade is a fucking cool class, right? And so I started, as I've been grinding on Dual Blade, I'm now currently level 265, like, it's not that bad. Like, I know he didn't get to 260 on his Dual Blade, because he's just doing the Legion thing, but 260 Dual Blades definitely shine. You cannot argue with that. Like, because of their skills being, really high damage output and giant range, but the problem is that they're low cooldown. That's why Shadowers and Night Lords, outshine them. But yeah, Sacrix, did not go past 260, so that's why I feel like his video is kind of, I mean, obviously, like, I'm not trying to start a war or anything, like, I love that guy, but he's just, he's done, like, so many characters, and, like, he just probably compares all of the characters to Dual Blade. In comparison, I think Dual Blade does pale in comparison to, like, other classes who are excellent mobbers. But yeah, I genuinely believe that, like, every class in MapleStory is meant to mob. Like, every single class is designed to have multi-hit, AoE, or area of effect skills that, cover a wide radius in the map and help you training. That's just how the game is designed, because, you have to level up in the game, so every class has the ability to kill a lot of monsters in a map, and Dual Blade is no exception to that. Like, I feel like Dual Blades are certainly very much, like, they can do the job. Like, they get the assignment done, they get the job done, like, they're not as stellar as Night Lords and Shadowers in the Arcana maps, or what do you call it, the Arcane River maps from 200 to 255, which is Limina, the final map, where all the Kana Mafia botters are in Bara reg server. If you know, you know. Shadowers and Night Lords, they excel from 200 to 260. I just think that Dual Blades are great mobbers. Like, I don't think they're amazing, but they get the job done. Okay, like, they're not bad mobbers. Like, let's get that straight. That's just my opinion, and it obviously has a lot to do with cooldown hats. Cooldown hats is a whole another topic that we need to get into. If you have a cooldown hat, you are probably having fun with Dual Blade mobbing and the rotations that you can do on Frenzied Spawn and Reg server. If you are in Reboot, you need a cooldown hat. If you can get your hands on 2 Chaos Root Abyss hats, Royal Assassin Hood, just throw a bunch of black cubes on your main hat until you get cooldown lines, and you can have a spare hat. and then throw your red cubes on that on a reboot until you get like at least -2-second cooldown. And then if you're lucky, you can get 2-line. If you're extremely lucky, you will get 3-line cooldown, which is like -2, -1, -2. -2 times 3, that's like really rare. If you get -6 on your main bot, that's insane. And reboot, you're literally like a god dual blader. So another critique that dual blades get when it comes to mobbing is that Blade Fury, their 4th job mobbing skill, is such a small hitbox. Like, it is actually, like, I agree in that, like, it's so bad, but like, if you proc the, what is that called? The Haunted Edge, it's like a passive skill that, you know, automatically summons if you have it on your nodes, and it, you know, sends out some projectiles, but it, you know, it's like every few seconds, so it's not like that reliable. For clearing and frenzied spawn or wild totem spawn. Blade Fury is not a good mobbing skill. It's fine, it does the job. It's like, just in comparison to other mobbing skills, like, I don't know, like Demon Slayer mobbing skill, it's just not that great, you know, like, it's lackluster, let's say that. But it does, I do think dual blades compensate that with, obviously, like, the way dual blade was designed is that, you know, Blades of Destiny is like the main skill that is used to mob, and, you know, if you're on a reboot, like, wild totem spawn, that's pretty decent. Like, the wild totem isn't that fast of respawning, so I think dual blades definitely can just spam Blades of Destiny, especially if you have a cooldown hat. Every time the wave respawns, you can cast that skill, and if it's down, you can press Blade Tornado, which does have a smaller hitbox, I believe, but it does, you know, travel further, and it has a high vertical hitbox, so it's like you can, you know, you can jump and then you can press it if you're on there's a platform above you that you can't hit all the mobs. So it is very situational, and but yeah, I think dual blades just, they have the necessary means to, like, you know, hit every single mob in the map if you really try. And of course, Blade Ascension, your 3rd job skill, is just amazing at, you know, mobility. So if you are training on a Monster Park green pot and you have hit the, you know, the soft cap for attack speed with, you know, decent speed infusion in your V matrix, Blade Ascension is just so fast. It comes out so fast. It's actually better at mobbing than Blade Fury, I would argue. If you can one-shot with it, of course, and with the recent update we have, you know, damage boosting passives with the hyperstat. So was it hyper skills? What is it called? But yeah, it hits harder now. It's nice. It adds an extra line of damage. Blade Ascension is probably better than Blade Fury. Let's just make that clear. Yeah, Blade Fury is just there because it's there. It's the bare minimum. So Sudden Raid, actually, yeah, I think the hitbox got changed. It looks a little bit more clear with the hitbox. Sudden Raid actually does reduce your cooldown for Final Cut, so if you are having trouble one-shotting with dual blade skills, which is probably, like, you know, impossible with Blade Fury and Blade Tornado having such high damage lines, but if you are having troubles one-shotting, you want to press Sudden Raid immediately after your Final Cut, because that will increase your final damage, and that will pretty much make sure that you one-shot your mobs during training and in bossing in general. So, and then I believe cooldown hats do help a little bit with Sudden Raid's cooldown, so I think Sudden Raid is pretty much making up for the lack of dual blade mobbing with Blade Fury. So in summary, I think dual blades are not that bad of a mobber. Don't go off of Sacrix's video on YouTube, because first of all, I'm not trying to bash on him, it's a little bit outdated. And it depends, dual blade just really depends on your funding. If you can afford a cooldown hat, you know, if you're in reboot, do as like I said, just have 2 or 3 hats and then just throw your red cubes onto it with your daily bossing money, and, you know, buy cubes in the cash shop in reboot, and just keep making hats until you get a crazy cooldown hat, you know, preferably something like -2 and then like maybe luck, or just -2, -2, -1, you know, whatever cooldown reduction you get on your hat. That will make you an OP dual blader in mobbing and bossing. And it I don't know if you guys know this, but having -2 second cooldown is like way better than like 3-line luck. So just invest in a cooldown hat in reboot, and if you are on a reg server, just invest in, you know, a cooldown hat. Like, you have more access to godly items in a reg server with you know, being able to trade. But I mean, that's how I definitely bought mine. I didn't make mine. I just like, it's just such a hard time making it. I was using a -2 cooldown hat for a while. I made it myself, and it had like it has like 10 all stat with that, so it was pretty decent. But it was just, I had to replace it. So yeah, I just I'm getting so sidetracked. Dual blades are not a bad mobber. You need a cooldown hat. A cooldown hat makes it a lot easier, and the same could go for, you know, Night Lords and Shadowers. Like Shadowers, you need a lot of funding to one-shot with Meso Explosion. Night Lords, you need a lot of funding to one-shot with Assassin's Mark. And it's just every class in the game benefits from different, you know, attributes. Like if you have better funding, you can one-shot with, you know, certain skills. So it's just the way that classes are designed, and there is a ceiling and like a skill limit, I guess, for just, I mean, funding limits, if you will, with each class you play, because, you know, there's a lot that goes into it. So yeah, sorry to like ramble throughout the entire video. I tried to make it relevant as possible, but what do you guys think about dual blades as a class for mobbing? You know, like, is it terrible? Like, are you a dual blade? Have you switched to dual blade, and have you tried mobbing and you're just like, oh my god, this is awful? Like, I have trained from, I've never job changed on my main character. So I just don't think that, you know, obviously I have a Shadower and I have a Night Lord, 5th job. It's nice. I don't have them super funded as my dual blade, because my dual blade is my main for life. So I just, honestly, I'm biased. But what do you guys think about dual blades? Is it bad? Is it good? Like, obviously they're really good bossers. They can iframe. But in terms of mobbing, they usually get shit on. So I'm just curious about what you guys think about dual blade as a class in the mobbing department. Leave a comment below if you think it's shit. If you disagree with me, then comment below. If you kind of feel like dual blades are not that terrible, then comment below. I'd love to hear it. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't like too much of nonsense, but I think I put some valid points into it. I didn't cover everything, but I pretty much just covered, like, you know, the difference between having a cooldown hat and not having a cooldown hat and all that. So I just, you know, it's a very slippery slope with dual blades. It's like, you need funding as every other class. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.